Hey everybody, it's Nathaniel Avila reporting from Dallas County, and who am I here with?
Hey, it's Hanya again. Hi, guys.
Hello. And what are we talking about today?
We are talking about what is it called? The Summer County Mystery?
Yeah, close. It was the Sumter County Does.
Sumter.
Yes. So this kind of like borders between true crime a little bit with the supernatural. The thing is, what do you know about the Sumter County Does?
Just from doing a little bit of research, is just this interesting out of the nowhere couple that goes to a small town and things happened and leave mysteriously and haven't been found.
Uh, yeah, pretty much. I think they were found though. Their bodies were found, but they didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I believe in recent years, I think like 2 years ago, they have since been identified. So we do know who they are now. Uh, but we still don't know the circumstances surrounding their deaths. So, you ready to get into it?
Yeah.
All right. So, we're going to talk about the murder of Pamela Buckley and James Freund. Previously known as the Sumter County Does, Jock Doe and Jane Doe, respectively, who were two previously identified American homicide victims found in Sumter County, South Carolina on August 9th, 1976. So, let's get into it. So, in the early morning hours of August 9th, 1976. Oh, wait. There we go. Now we can hear you better. In the early morning hours of August 9th, 1976, the young man and woman were said to have been seen from a distance by a hermit, and it was said that they had been dropped off on Locklear Road, a secluded dirt road between I-95 and SC 341, also known as Lynch's River Road. So the victims may have had their vehicle hijacked, possibly by hitchhikers. Then, upon their exiting the vehicle, someone may have shot them both in the back. At 6:20 a.m., a trucker named Martin Durant found the bodies and contacted Charles Graham, an employee at a nearby store. And Graham, in turn, contacted the authorities. So, yep, that's how they found him.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, would you ever like take a ride from a hitchhiker?
I, that's questionable because sometimes I feel like I really want to help someone out and pick them up on the side of the road just to help them get to their destination. And then moments like this, I feel like, well, shit, I might get murdered. Do I want to take the chance?
You wouldn't take the chance?
Uh, it's a 50-50.
Mm,
I'm more likely probably not going to take the chance only because, well, shit, you never know what could possibly happen.
mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta be careful out there. Have you ever actually taken a hitchhiker before?
Not in a long time, not since like my 20s.
Mm. Yeah, I've only done it once when I was in college. It was only because I thought the guy was my roommate, but it was just some random guy. So let's continue on. So the male victim was at first believed to be between 18 and 22 years of age, but his dentition suggested that he might have been older than 27. So the age range was updated between 18 and 30 years after his case was entered into NAMUS, which is known as the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System. So a forensic dentist who examined the man's teeth said he believed he was over 27, but that he looked younger due to his clothing and build. So the victim was white with an olive complexion. He had brown shoulder length hair, brown eyes, very distinctive bushy eyebrows. He stood over 6 feet tall, weighed about 150 pounds, and had extensive, elaborate dental work that may have been performed outside of the United States. And this might indicate a higher socioeconomic status. So that's what we know about this guy. So what do you think so far?
Still interesting.
Hmm. So a unique type of root canal surgery had been performed during the man's life, and it looked like it had been midway through a complete dental restoration. So the man had a 4-inch appendectomy scar. He also had various scars in his back and shoulders, which indicated frequent participation in contact sports. So he might have played football. So
might have played football. Could have been cricket. It could be soccer.
Oh yeah.
Could be baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you get hit in the face, I mean, at 95 miles per hour, it's, yeah.
That right. So
I mean, there's so many other contact sports that we don't put on that high pedestal of football.
Like rugby, which is like football, but except without the padding.
Yes, true.
So he was wearing faded Levi brand jeans and a red T-shirt. The shirt said Coors, America's Light Beer. So he was wearing a Coors shirt.
The poor man.
Why? Because he drank Coors?
Yes. No offense to you beer drinkers out there, but sorry, some of us want a little bit more alcohol into our drinks.
Okay. So on the front, and Camel Challenger GT Sabring 75 on the back, along with a Snoopy design. So the shirt was apparently a promotional item from the Sebring races held in Sebring, Florida in 1975, which were sponsored by the Coors Brewing Company. So he wore no underwear and carried a pack of Grant's truck stop matches in a pants pocket. And the matches were believed to have come from a Grant's truck shop in the Midwest. So he didn't have any underwear on, which is odd. Well, what do you think that means?
That is all.
Yeah. So, so he wore yellow gold Belova Accutron wristwatch with a Twistoflex band bearing the serial number H918803. Using his number, this number, investigators were able to determine that Belova had made the watch in 1968. But when the Belova company downsized in the early 1970s, they destroyed many of their records, meaning that there was no way to ascertain where the victim's watch was distributed or bought. So he also wore a 14-karat gold ring set with a gray star sapphire stone. The initials JPF were engraved inside the ring, which had a Florentine finish. So both the ring and the watch were rather expensive.
Mm-hmm.
This, together with the man's elaborate dental work, suggested that he had come from an affluent family. So that's pretty much all we knew about the guy in this situation.
Okay. That's at least more information on the gentleman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're gonna go into the lady right now. So the female victim was slightly younger than the man, and she was originally thought to have been 18 to 20 years old. After her case was entered into NamUs, her age estimate was increased to 18 to 25 years. She stood 5'5" tall, weighed 100 to 105 pounds, and had a slim build and an olive complexion like that of her companion. This led to some observers to speculate that they may have been siblings. She had reddish-brown shoulder-length hair, bluish-gray eyes, some sources state as hazel, like in the identifyus.org page. So she had two distinctive moles on the left side of her face near her mouth. The coroner noted that the young woman had unusually long natural eyelashes and that both victims were very clean and well groomed. She had fillings in all of her back teeth, and her front teeth would have appeared straight even if she were to smile. She had no surgical scars, had never been pregnant, and her legs had not been shaved. Unlike her male companion, no scars were found in her body. So she was completely unscathed. What do you think that means?
Well, it just seems like every other person that does that's not actually broken any bones or had any other kinds of injuries. So it could go any way. It could be anyone.
Right. Plus, so there's no like sign of a struggle on her end.
Yeah.
Oh snap! So she was wearing an unbleached white muslin blouse over a pink front tying halter top. So she wore blue denim cutoff shorts. She had a floral print scarf tied around her waist as a belt. So she wore Stride Right brand wedge heeled sandals that were lavender and hot pink in color. She wore three distinctive rings. The first ring was black, oblong stone with what appeared to be small turquoise chips embedded in it. The second had an all-night scrolling feather shape with coral turquoise stones. The third was a simple metal band with red, white, and blue stones. So these rings appeared to be authentic handmade Native American or Mexican costume jewelry. They were all made of sterling silver. They appear to have originated in the southwestern United States. Like the man beside her, the female wore no underwear. So that's very interesting. So they both didn't.
Yeah.
So they didn't both. They both didn't have underwear. What do you think that means?
Well, if they were together, they were probably trying to do something, or they were headed to go and do something. Maybe a meetup, because I know if I'm going to meet up with someone that I don't necessarily know, but know good enough, and I'm just there to get excuse me, viewers under 18, a little friskier than normal, then I would be prepared to get in and out quickly.
Be like, oh,
No
so
pun
just,
intended.
let me just take off these underwear right now, and then I'll just go like that.
Well, that's why you would go without underwear. It's easier to just, sit on
Okay.
top, especially if it's in the car. That way
Okay.
you don't have too much more extra clothing to remove.
Okay. So you think they were killed while they were trying to do this intimate action?
They might have been spotted by someone, and whoever spotted them could have possibly been the people that took over the car, and they didn't get a chance, or they pulled over to get a hitchhiker after they had finished
And they just
and
didn't
was
have any
headed
underwear on still?
home.
Okay. That's some interesting theories. So let's go into what the law enforcement said. In 1977, a man named Lonnie George Henry was arrested in Lada, South Carolina for driving while intoxicated. He owned a revolver found in his vehicle of the same kind as the murder weapon. It was proven to be the murder weapon after it was test fired by investigators. Henry, who died in 1982, was located but was not charged because of insufficient evidence existed to file charges against the individual with the murders, despite having the actual murder weapon. So, I don't know. Seems like pretty good, solid evidence. So, investigators traveled to the city of Brunswick, Georgia. They met with the mother and father who were thought to be possible acquaintances of the Jane Doe. Their daughter was missing, and her ex boyfriend had reported a similarity between the female victim and his ex girlfriend. However, after showing the parents of the missing woman photographs of the female victims, neither they nor friends could verify that it was her. After a dental composition, it was found that the two women did not match. So, so what do you think of that? I heard you got like a little bit of a reaction.
It's interesting that someone thought that it was her, and then they did fingerprints or something and found out it's not, which
Mm-hmm.
means two people that look almost exactly the same are both missing, and one's now a Jane Doe,
Right.
and the other one's missing.
Yeah, still missing.
So,
Let's go into the initials of the JPF that was engraved inside the man's ring. So it supported the theory that his name was Jock, or at least started with a J. So the book of matches found in the man's pocket provided a further clue. So the matches came from a truck stop chain that had locations in Idaho, Nebraska, and Arizona. After information was released to the public, a man from Nebraska stated that he may have performed repairs on a car with Oregon or Washington license plates, whose owners matched the description of the victims. But this uncovered no additional leads. So, some speculate that notable serial killer Henry Lee Lucas, the deadly drifter, could have been involved in the murders. Lucas himself told the police that he had been in South Carolina the day that the victims died, but he was received with skepticism after he had a penchant for false confessions. He was never charged with the crime and died in 2001 due to heart failure. Either Lucas had confessed to two murders that also happened in Sumter County, that of an elderly woman in 1975 and a young man in 1983. Like most other leads, this revealed no additional clues to the pair's names or their actual murderer. So, yeah, those were the leads. Everything kind of turned out. Bupkis, what are we thinking here?
It's an interesting thing, especially with the initials. And I mean, it gives you clues, but if they still haven't found matches, it's kind of hard to say, yes, that is his name, or yes, it's not his name.
Mm-hmm. Do you think this serial killer killed them?
No. See, the thing with serial killers is that they kind of want to get famous. Like, they have a calling card type.
Yeah.
Like, it's not always killed. I mean, there might be differences in the way things have happened, but it's not. But there's something that's always the same in all of it, just to let them know that it's the same person.
Right.
Although, on a very few rare occasions, there are some that have gotten away with all the things because it looks like all these other different people did it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like a 0.1% rarity. Most people that do it have a motive, have a content, want their stuff to be known.
Right. So let's go on into the burial. So where the couple's bodies were kept at a local funeral home in caskets with airtight see-through lids in hopes that someone could identify them. So people from all over the country called to inquire about them, including several parents of young runaways. None were able to identify the bodies. So the bodies remained on display until they began to deteriorate. On August 14th, 1977, 1 year and 5 days after the bodies were found, they were interred in Bethel United Methodist Church Cemetery in Oswego, South Carolina. Hundreds attended the funeral service. Law enforcement agencies raised several $100s to pay the funeral home, and their graves have stone granite markers which read "Male Unknown" and "Female Unknown." So, yeah, it's a little sad.
It is very sad.
Mm-hmm. So in 2007,
I'm sorry. Although it's kind of cool that lots of people did come after finding the story and trying to help find out who they are. Still came to the funeral to raise money, or people raise money to get a funeral. Some people don't even want to do that sometimes today.
Oh, yeah.
Or just acknowledge someone who's lost that never had any family. Weirdly enough, there are a number of people that are actually professional mourners that get paid to be at people's funerals because they have no one else to be there.
Oh, snap. Would you ever do that?
Yes, I'm dramatic enough.
Okay.
I could be the best professional mourner if I could actually advertise for that. If I had a way to actually do that, I would totally be a professional mourner.
Okay. So, in 2007, both bodies were exhumed to obtain DNA information. This led to the theory that the pair had been siblings being disproved. The testing showed that they were not genetically related, though they did resemble each other. So, the DNA Doe Project, an organization working to resolve unidentified dissident cases, was recruited in July 2019 for assistance to identify the then unidentified couple. A total of $2,300 was donated to fund the extradition or the extraction of usable DNA profiles from bone marrow for genetic genealogy research. On October 12th, 2020, they released the results of their genetical tests of the victims' ancestral backgrounds. And in January the following year, the organization announced that they had successfully aided with the victims' identifications as a pair of American hitchhikers. So, that's they did it. They found out who they were. Isn't that great?
Yeah, that is.
Mm-hmm. So they were identified as Pamela Buckley and James Freund on January 21st, 2021, just like a couple of months ago at a press
Oh,
conference.
wow.
Yeah. So, Freund had last been seen in December 1975 in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Buckley, who was originally from Minnesota, was last seen in December 1975 in Colorado Springs, where she was also reported missing. Thus ending the story of the murder of Pamela Buckley and James Freund, aka the Sumter County Does. So yeah, we still don't know how they died, but we know who they are at the very least.
Well, at least the family, even, those who probably didn't realize they had aunts or uncles missing or knew about it, now can be peaceful that their bodies have been found.
Mm-hmm.
They might not know how they died, but hey, one step at a time. With the technology that's happening, at least they're closer. But I'm pretty sure, if they were gunned down, I'm pretty sure they either died from the bullet wound or bleeding out. So that's more likely.
Right. So, what is your theory on what happened to these two people?
Well, it sounds like they came from two different areas.
Uh-huh.
So it's one of those in that time frame. How do you connect with someone that's not in the same area as you and then find yourself in the same car? Unlike today where you use the internet, you go on a DM chat through Tinder or Fish, Plenty of Fish, and you're like, okay, let's meet up, and y'all are from two different states, and you meet up and move on from there.
Right.
Especially during that time. So it's one of those, maybe they by chance met each other just randomly, gave letters to each other, and decided to meet up for something. Maybe, possibly, they were lovers that had been keeping letters together and wanted to elope, but never got a chance to move forward with that. Or maybe we haven't got that far in their story, just identifying them and not knowing that maybe, possibly, they eloped with each other, and that's why they were in the car. Maybe they were headed to their honeymoon.
But I don't think there were any records of any marriage licenses being put in for these two people, though.
The thing is, though, in that time frame, lots of things could have happened. Where they got married could have burned down, and all those licenses could be lost.
Oh, yeah.
If their licenses were lost, then you would never know if they were married or not, even for just court-wise.
Right.
Because they hadn't got put in the system, because we don't have to, back then, their systems weren't as sophisticated as they were now. Also, mailage lost in the postal service was more common there. You'll send something off and realize it never got to whoever you were trying to, and they didn't know that you sent something out.
Right. Well, they were hitchhikers, so it is possible that they might have met while they were hitchhiking somewhere.
Quite a possibility
Yeah.
uh, with that, because in that day, hitchhiking was easier.
Yeah. So, okay, so they're both in the car together. Then what happened?
All right, so they met hitchhiking. Maybe some random guy just happened to pick both of them up at different times. So they're in the car, they're having a good time, they're on their way to their destination when something starts being amiss with their driver,
Uh huh.
possibly. And the driver, they realize that they're in the middle of nowhere, not exactly sure where they are, because in that time frame, they probably haven't stopped at a gas station to get an atlas to know exactly where they are, and hopefully they're in the same place that they're trying to get to or
Uh-huh.
get away from, depending on if they're both running away from something. But then maybe possibly the driver, or maybe if there was another companion in the car, the companion in the seat pulled the weapon out, and things go bad from there. And they possibly, once they got to this random road, because backwater little small towns have small little roads where there's no one within miles, and possibly told them to walk, and instead of just letting them go, just shoot them and then drive away.
Mm-hmm. How do you explain that they don't have any the underwear on?
Like I said, there's a possibility, or if there are two separate people that got picked up at different times, it's a possibility maybe she was a night walker.
Oh my goodness. Oh no, that's. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good take to have.
Well, it's not necessarily a date per se. It's a possibility she got picked up first, and she was supposed to be having a good time with him, with the people in the car.
Right.
And as they were going, and they're like, you know what, let's make this a little bit more interesting and fun. So we're going to pick up another person. Look at this hitchhiker. He looks at least well dressed and mannered, possibly, because the description didn't say that he looked like a hobo, that
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't unclean or anything like that.
Yeah, he was supposed to be like high socioeconomic status. Like he was very well groomed.
Yeah, so if he's well groomed, hey, we can get a 3-on-1 system going.
Okay.
Maybe they possibly had underwear beforehand, and they went to a random spot where they could have a 3-on-1 going on.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the young lady found him more attentive than the other gentleman. It could have been 2-on-1. And she found the more well-mannered gentleman more her style.
Okay.
So,
That's more probable.
and
Yeah.
paid attention to him.
Mm-hmm. So let me show you like
And, you know,
yeah. The other guy got jealous and shot him.
I mean, it could possibly be just out of jealousy of this was my hooker,
Oh.
and this guy who I picked up is getting more attention from her, and I'm the one paying.
Right. I don't think she's a prostitute though.
Hey,
What?
sometimes, as the old adage says, cash, grass, or ass.
Okay.
Sometimes that ass is the only way you get from point A to point B.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to get paid for it.
Okay. So, I see what you're saying. So let me show you how this guy looked. So this is him.
Nice looking young man. I would do him.
Okay. Yeah, very well groomed, really nice looking guy, nice suit, nice tie, nice haircut. And the girl, this is how the ladies look like.
She's nice looking too.
Yeah. So that was your, so that's your theory of what happened. I think
I mean,
yeah.
no. What's your theory?
I think it's probably like the most basic theory that they were hitchhiking. They disappeared in two different places. He disappeared in Pennsylvania and she disappeared in Florida. Um, they might, and South Carolina is in between the two. So they might have been just hitchhiking all the way until they just met up in the middle, and they were like, let's just share a car, and then as they were driving, they might have whoever picked them up or just thought that maybe it's a good time to kill somebody, and then they just dropped them off, had them dropped off at some random place in the middle of nowhere, and then shot them both in the head. Because they were both the gun wounds were in the head. They were both shot in the head. Now, as for the whole taking the underwear thing, it might have been the guy who killed them might have just took that as like a trophy that sometimes people do. They just take things. And the underwear might have been like a trophy for this guy.
That's quite a possibility too.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's no regular MO thing that he's done, possibly this could have been his first murder that he got away with.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we never knew what happened. I don't think it's Henry Lee Lucas. I'm pretty sure he lied because he has a tendency to lie. I'm pretty sure it was not him.
And there's a possibility it was his first before he did everything behind it.
Who, Henry Lee Lucas?
Yeah.
I think he started killing people earlier than that. I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe he wanted to change. Well, there's no telling. But if this wasn't, if you don't think it was him, there's a possibility it might not have.
Right.
But he might have said yes to it because it was such a famous case.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. It might have been this Lonnie George Henry guy who actually had the murder weapon with him, like the actual gun that was used to kill them. And it might have been that guy, mainly because he had the murder weapon, but he was never arrested because of insufficient evidence. Even though I'm pretty sure that's pretty solid evidence that he had the gun. But yeah, that was the story of the Sumter County Does. Any last thoughts about them?
Be safe when traveling as a hitchhiker. There are some people that still do it. Just if you have a bad feeling in your gut, something's wrong, and you can open the door, duck and run.
Mm-hmm. You gotta have 911 on speed dial.
Speed dial, or make sure if you do decide to go and get in someone else's car, you let other people know so that, hey, if I don't show back up, this is what happened.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so that would be the conclusion of the Sumter County Does. So yeah, that was a good one. What do you think about the case?
I'm glad that they found out who they were eventually, even though it took until just earlier this year.
Yeah, it took them 44 years to finally identify them. All right, so yeah, that would do it for today's episode. I've been Nathaniel Avila.
And I'm Mahanyu.
And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to a Vision podcast, home of wacky talkies, The Kingdom, Evil Exists, and many more.